Hello? Can you guys hear me? Is anybody in here? All right, I am not going to change anything on this one. So hopefully, if someone logs into the other one, because it looks like our usual amount, usually we have about 15 kids. Hopefully if somebody logs into the other one, they'll see the note to log into this one. I'm not sure exactly what happened in the last one. I have been playing around with a new camera. See, I got a new camera, new webcam, but it had some sound issues. So I don't know if it's just kind of left over from that, but we're going to just start from here and keep going. So hopefully everything will go as it should. Let me get my video set back to the beginning. Okay, so today we are starting a new project, and this time we are going to be working with color pencils. So something most of you, if you've been in my class before, you've used color pencils, and all of you come get color pencils all the time. But this will be an opportunity to learn how to use them better, learn how to use them the right way. We'll also go back over some things that we went over in the last class, so you can just continue to get better at those things. So just know that today it's called Egg Hunt. You will need your pencil, your marker, your color pencils for this one, and an eraser. So as long as your pencil has an eraser, you'll be fine. And we are good to go. So do you guys have any questions so far? Hopefully everybody jumps back on to this class. I have about 10 out of 14 right now. So hopefully everybody can get back on. One quick change. Well, actually, I'll tell you about some of the changes towards the end. I'll tell you about the online gallery and all of those things at the end of this video. So we just have 2 different videos to show today. The first one will talk to you about drawing out your image, and the second video will talk about coloring your image, okay? No more. So there is no more art pickup, right? As of right now, no. We won't do art pickup unless the mayor says that we can go back into the building. So as long as we have the shelter in place directive from the mayor of Jacksonville, we're in Jacksonville, Florida, if anybody's on here that's not in Jacksonville. As long as we have the shelter in place directive, we will not be at the school. But if anything like that changes, then of course we'll head back up there. But outside of that, just think about other things that you have at home. We're using color pencils today. If you have crayons at home, you can use the same information with your crayons, all right, in terms of what we're talking about. So for right now, just try to use what you have at home. If you have the means and the opportunity to order some of these things off of Amazon, you can get them pretty cheaply and pretty quickly. But for right now, we do not have any more supply pickup days. But as soon as we do, we will let you guys know. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and get the video started because we're already about 18 minutes into this because of the technical difficulty. So I'm going to go ahead and get your videos going so we don't run over our time. All right. I'm going to share the screen. Close this message. Make that bigger. And we're going to go ahead and jump right into this. All right. So I will be down here if you have questions. And then just use the chat box if you have questions. All right. Hello, everyone. For today's lesson, we are going to be working on this Easter egg hunt drawing. We're going to be using pencil, color pencil, and marker. So this gives you an idea of what your final image will look like. And you're going to learn about using color pencils, using markers, and we're also going to learn about a new concept called foreground, middle ground, and background. If you look at my image, it looks like the grass is in the front, the eggs are in the middle, and the sun is in the back. So the grass would be in the foreground, the eggs would be in the middle ground, and the sun would be in the background. So if we broke it apart, it would look something like this. The thing that's the farthest back would be the sun. All right, so that's in my background. Then above that, closer to me, would be my eggs. And then above that, when you're looking straight down at it, closer again to you and me, the viewer, you would have your grass. All right. So the eggs sit in the middle, the grass sit on top, and the sunshine sits in the back. So what happens when you have all of these things in one space, then you have to deal with what's called overlapping. So the eggs overlap the sun and the lines that the sun rays are creating. The grass overlaps the egg, even one egg in front of the other. So the polka dot egg, if I move this so you can see it better, the polka dot egg overlaps the striped egg. So this egg is sitting in front of this egg. All right, so today we're going to talk about foreground, middle ground, background, and overlapping in our drawing. All right, so we're going to do a little practice first for our grass. We're going to start with our grass. The grass is just going to be a series of like curved lines. So we talked about curved lines with our last assignment. So it's kind of a half curve, almost like you're starting to draw a circle. It comes up to a point, and then you just kind of curve right back down. All right? Up, down, up. Some can go higher. Some can go the other way. All right? So right now we're just practicing drawing blades of grass. All right? And you want it eventually to run off the edge of the page. So if I do one more set, I'm going to start from the corner of the page. Well, not the corner of the page. I'm going to start from the left side of the page. So right off the edge of the page. So we call this a bleed the last time. When it starts off the edge, that means it bleeds off the edge. So I'm going to just start with the curve. And then I'm just going to keep going up and down, making different curved lines. And that's how we're going to draw our blades of grass. Looks kind of like fire. Almost, if you kind of look at it from this direction, it's almost like different kinds of wings or something like that. But it's just a series of curved lines that come up to a point, and then they follow back down. So up, down, up, down. You just want to make sure they're curved, okay? So to start the assignment, we are going to do the same thing. A new sheet of paper, or you can just flip your paper over. We're going to start from the bottom of the page. So I'm working just down in this area here because I'm going to show you the sample again. All right, you see how the grass is in the bottom of the page. I'll put it right about here so you can kind of line it up. You can get a sense of what I'm doing. So from the side, the left side of the page, I'm just going to start drawing curve up, curve down. And I'm going to make it go in different directions. One might go higher, lower. Right? So that's how you're going to draw your grass. We drew our grass first because our grass is in the foreground. All right? Our grass is in the foreground because it is the closest thing to us, the closest thing to the viewer. Okay? All right, in order to draw the eggs, which are in the middle of our image, we're just going to do the same thing we did in the first assignment. We're going to make two oval shapes, two round shapes in the shape of eggs. We want to draw one that will be closer to us, and then the other which will sit behind it. But the way we're going to do it, we're going to draw both of them out. So this time I'm going to start from the right side of my page, and I'm going to show you again what it should look like. All right, so that's my original drawing. So starting with the polka dot egg, I'm going to go about halfway up on my paper. So I'm about halfway up on the right side. I'm starting from that edge again. And I am going to draw an oval. And I'm going to draw it right through my grass. So I did one big oval, one big round shape that ran off the edge of my paper. So it is what's called a bleed. So the edge of it bleeds off the paper. All right, next on the left side of the paper, I'll show you the example. This time we're going to draw the egg sort of standing up a little. So this one sort of lays down. This one kind of stands or sits at an angle. So now we're going to do this egg on the paper next. So because this egg will sit behind the first egg, just in order to get the shape of the egg right, we're going to go ahead and just draw the whole thing. So I am going to start from my corner, from my edge of the paper again, sorry, the edge of the paper. And I'm going to start drawing my oval. And again, I'm going to draw right through my other egg and my grass. So right now you see how everything is overlapping. All the lines just cross right over the other lines. And then we'll correct that once we get to the marker line. Okay? So I have one big egg on the right side and another big egg on the left side. All right? Now, what we're going to go ahead and do with this part is we're going to go ahead and do our marker lines so you can see what happens next. All right, so now that I have all my outlines done for my eggs and my grass, I am going to start to go over my pencil lines with my marker. So this is my Sharpie. I paint a lot, so it has a lot of paint on it. So you should have a black Sharpie or a black permanent marker. And I am going to start with my grass because the grass is the closest thing to me. So I'm going to start just tracing over the lines of my grass with my marker. Again, I am planting my hand down on the paper because I want to keep my hand as steady as possible. I also want to have a lot of control, so my hands are very close to the marker tip. If I hold it down close to the tip, I have more control. If I hold it farther up, I have less control. I want to have more control, so I'm holding it farther down. And I am just going to trace over my pencil line. I'm going slow because I'm not in a rush. And I want to do this as neatly as possible. And all I'm doing, I don't have to make new lines. All I'm doing is just tracing over my marker lines. All right. It's okay if you still see the pencil lines from the eggs, and even if you have some pencil lines where you didn't quite trace the line correctly, we'll get rid of that later. Now, because we always want to draw the thing that's closest to us, we did the grass first because that's in the front. Now we're moving to the middle ground with the two eggs. These two things are in the middle. But we want to draw the egg that's the closest to us first. So we said that the polka dot egg, I'm going to show you an example. The polka dot egg is in the front of the striped egg. So we're going to outline with our marker this egg first. But I am only going to draw the line as long as it doesn't cross over another line. So watch how I do this before you do it. First, I'm going to start from this edge of the paper, and I am going to start to trace my pencil line, but I am going to stop when I hit the blade of grass. All right? So I stop my line when I hit the blade of grass. Now, if I look at the rest of the line for the egg, I can only draw that line if it does not cross over where my grass will be. Okay? I can only draw the line in the places where it doesn't cross over the grass. So I have grass here, so I can't draw that line. This little bit of a line right here from my egg, there's no grass there, so I can trace that line. So I'm going to trace this little bit of a marker line right here. The line that's here is inside of the grass, so I can't trace it. The line that's here is inside of the grass, so I can't trace it. Same thing for here and here. If your line goes inside of the blade of grass, then you cannot trace it. So I'm not going to trace those lines, okay? All right, so you should be outlining your grass and your egg. Now, when it comes to my second egg, and this egg sits behind the first egg, I am only going to trace the lines that do not cross over the other parts of the drawing again. So here, I'm going to start from the left side of the paper, and I'm just going to trace over my line, my pencil line, but I am going to stop once again when I get to the other egg, because I don't want to cross over the egg. Because technically, if this sits in front of this, you cannot see that line. I'm going to show you again in the final drawing. Okay, this egg sits in the front, so the outline for the striped egg stops at this part of the polka dot egg because you cannot see it. So technically, there would be a line there, but we can't see it because this egg sits in front. Okay, so I cannot draw any of this line because it crosses over into my egg. I can't draw any of this because it crosses over into my grass. That's my grass. I can't draw this line because it crosses into my grass. This little tiny bit of a line right here actually does not cross over into my grass, so I can draw that. So I'm going to take my marker and I'm going to trace that little bit of a line right there. This little bit of a line is in my grass, so I'm not going to trace that, but this part of the line is not, so I am going to trace that, okay? So you can only trace the line with the marker if it doesn't cross over another part of the drawing. All right, so now that I have all of my lines drawn that I can see, I am going to start to erase out my pencil line. So I'm going to get rid of the pencil lines that I no longer need because I cannot see them. You cannot see these pencil lines because the grass would be covering them up. So these are the lines that would be a part of the egg. I cannot see them because the grass would cover them up. So I am going to erase the lines out. You can really just, because we don't need these pencil lines at all, just start to erase. Everywhere that you had pencil lines, start erasing. Get rid of all the pencil lines that you can see. So you can use your eraser on your pencil, or if you have just an eraser that's by itself, like without the rest of the pencil, just use whatever kind of eraser you have and just work your way around and get rid of every pencil line that you see. And then that should just leave you with the parts of the drawing that are done in marker. Okay? I got rid of all my extra pencil lines. And now it's easier to see that the grass sits in front of this egg and this egg sits in front of that egg. All right? So grass, egg, egg. That's what we have so far. Next, we're going to do the sun. So the sun, you're just going to start from the top right corner. So the top right corner would kind of be almost like the middle of the sun. So below that, I am going to just do another curve. So I'm going to start from the top edge of the paper, and I'm just going to make another curve, and that runs off the right edge of the paper. Right? So I started from here, I do another curve, and it ran off the right edge of the paper. And then from the line that I just drew, I'm going to draw a series of straight lines, but they will angle out according to where I want the line to run off the paper. So I'm going to start from here, and I'm going to make one that's kind of straight, pretty much like straight down. Okay? And then from there, I'm just going to move over a little bit, and then I'm going to make an angled line. So it's a diagonal line. All right, so this one is not straight, it goes at an angle. And then I'm going to move over a little bit, and I'm going to go with another diagonal line, and I'm just going to draw the line just like before until I hit something, until I hit part of the egg. And I'm going to add one more. All right. So you can put as many as you want. You can put a bunch of them up there if you want, or just a few. Maybe no less than 3, but you can put as many as you want. So this becomes like the main part of my sun here, and these are like my sun rays here. Okay. Now that I have that, I'm also going to go ahead and draw my designs in my eggs. Okay. I'm going to draw polka dots and stripes. But if you want to draw something different inside of your egg, you are welcome to do so. So for me, I am going to draw a series of circles, some that float, and some that run off the edge. Last week we talked about how to start and stop your circles in the same place. Keep them really neat, or you can let them sort of run off the edge. You can make big circles, or you can make small circles. It is up to you. You want to keep them neat. Make sure they start and stop in the same place. And just put them wherever you want. So maybe they kind of hide behind the grass, anything like that. All right, so put your polka dots or whatever design you're drawing wherever you want to on your egg. I don't like that one that much, so I'm going to redraw this one. This is perfectly fine. Okay, so you just put a bunch of circles. If you want to do the polka dot egg, you can draw something different if you like. And over here, I'm just going to do a series of stripes, but they're going to be curved lines. So just like in the same direction as the curve of my egg, I am just going to draw almost like little brown lines, like an upside down smile. And I'm going to try to space them evenly apart. I stop when I hit marker line. So stop. And then I just sort of draw them in the places where I think they will be. So there's just a little bit of a line there. And I think I'm going to let that be it for that one. Right? Next, we do our marker line. Okay, now we're going to just use the marker to cover the rest of our pencil line. So I'm just going to start where I started before. I'm going to start with the sun. And I'm just going to take my marker and go over my lines. I have my hand planted on the table to keep it steady. I'm holding down the paper with my other hand just to keep it from moving around. And then I'm just tracing over my lines. One line at a time. Don't worry if you kind of miss your line a little bit. That's not a big deal. We'll clean it up. Remember, like right now, it's really hard for me to draw this line. If I drew this line right now, you wouldn't be able to see me drawing it. So remember, sometimes it's easier to turn your paper versus turning your hand. So now I can draw it and you should be able to see it. I'm just going to keep going over my pencil lines. I'll turn my paper as needed. I'm going to go over my polka dots and I'm going to go over my stripes with my marker. I'm going to go slow because I still want to stop and start my lines in the same place. I want to keep it as neat as possible, especially when you're using the marker because the marker isn't very forgiving. You can't erase that. So you want to take your time, trace the lines, try not to go out of the lines if you don't need to. And then if you need to make corrections, just make them as you go. Like I think I'm not going to trace that little line. I think I'm going to erase that out. And just keep going until you have all of your lines traced out. Everything that you want to keep should be traced. All right. So this is my final drawing in marker. And then just like before, I'm going to take my pencil and my eraser, and I am going to erase out the lines that I don't need. And as long as you're using a permanent marker, you should not have to worry about those marker lines moving around because they should be dry. Almost as soon as you draw them on the page, those lines should be very dry. And they shouldn't move or smear all around your paper just because you're using your eraser. Just work your way around. You decide to take that little line out completely. Erase all the pencil lines that you see. Get rid of everything. All right. And once you have gotten rid of all of your pencil lines, now we are ready to start adding color. Okay. All right, so you're going to grab your color pencils. I am going to switch the video. So grab your color pencils and we're getting ready to start adding color to it. Bear with me a minute while I turn on the next video. Again, my apologies for the sound issues before. I will put notes in the first class so that people know to just click onto the second class in order to be live today. I also added some information on the Facebook page. And hopefully everybody will catch it. All right, let me close that. So now we're getting ready to start the second video. This one is going to be all about coloring. Now there will be some time lapses in this video, but of course you can color at your own pace. So if you don't, I'm not expecting you to color as fast as I am in the time lapse, but I just wanted to be able to talk through the entire coloring process. So what you don't finish during this class, you can just go back and finish later. So just use the information as I'm giving it to you, but don't feel like you have to finish coloring it before this video is over because that is close to impossible. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get this one started. Next, I'm going to start to color my Easter egg picture, and I'm going to do that with color pencils. So these are the colors that I'm going to use. You can use whatever colors you want to use for yours. It is completely up to you. I do know for sure, though, that I'm going to use the green for my grass, and then I'm going to use the yellow and the orange for my sun. The colors that you put into your eggs is completely up to you. So you don't have to use the same colors that I'm using. So first thing I want to do, just before I get started, I can see that some of them have lead and some don't. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my pencil sharpener and I am going to just sharpen the pencils that need sharpening really quickly. And I don't need them to be like super pointy sharp, because typically when you make them super pointy sharp, they break off. See how that one just broke off? So the little tip of it is actually stuck in there. Okay, it just fell out. So you don't have to try to make it like super long, pointy, sharp lead, because that really doesn't help when it comes to using your color pencil. So don't sharpen it so much that you make it just where the lid just kind of falls out. So I'm just gonna really quickly sharpen the ones that I need to sharpen. All right, I am going to work in the same order that I drew the picture in. So I am going to start with my grass first, and I am going to start to color with my color pencil. Now, when it comes to color pencil, I'm gonna flip this over just so I can show you some things. So you can do the same thing with your paper. If you want to practice, you can just flip it over. When it comes to coloring something in color pencil, I am going to just simply draw a little circle with my pencil. Draw a little darker so you can see it. All right, 2 circles so we can compare. What I don't want you to do is this. Sometimes when you start with color pencil, you just kind of start coloring. And all your lines go in different places, and you have a lot of white paper showing through. You aren't taking your time, so you go out of the lines, and it's really messy, and then you're like, I'm done, all right? So here's some problems. One, I went out of the lines here. Two, all of my marks go in different directions, okay? So all these kind of scribble marks that go in all these different directions just make it look more messy. And three, I can still see a lot of my white paper coming through. So the way that we get away from that and we don't make those mistakes is number one, we're gonna slow down. When we start to color, we're gonna go in one direction. So I'm not picking up my pencil. I'm just kind of making my marks in one direction. I'm trying to use about the same amount of pressure. And pressure means like how hard you press down on the page. I'm not picking up my pencil. I'm just working my way around. And as I get closer to the edge, I just slow down. You can change your direction slightly. You can pick up your pencil if you need to. Just try not to. Again, I can turn the paper instead of turning my hand. And I am just slowly kind of filling in some of the spaces. I'm going to turn it back the right way because I want to continue to try to make the mark in the same direction. So as I color, I just want to get as close to the edge as I can, making the mark in the same direction, trying to keep the same amount of pressure. And then I turn it as I need to fill in around the edges. Okay. And then I'm going to show you how we even all of this out. I'm working my way around the edge to fill in the edge. Now, when I look at it now, this one looks a lot better than this one. It looks a lot more filled in. It looks a lot more neat, better craftsmanship. It does still seem dark and light in some areas. So I am just going to sort of keep overlapping. Now I'm overlapping my color to just try to even it out some. It doesn't have to be perfectly even in terms of the color, meaning you don't want it to be light in some places and dark in other places. You want to try to keep it the same all the way across the space that you're coloring in. All right, and just try to get it even out. So you want it to look more like this and less like that, okay? All right, so we're gonna turn this over. We're going to start to color in our grass. So my grass goes up and down in a curve, right? So I'm gonna color it in the exact same way. I'm gonna color in the direction of the shape. So the shape curves like this. So I'm gonna color like that. I'm gonna start from the tip of it, because that's the easiest and smallest part to fill in. And then as I come down, I am just going to color it in the same direction. And I'm just going to come down as far as I can. I am not scribbling. I'm not moving my pencil all around the paper. I just get as close to the edge as I can. And then I'm just going to keep the bottom white for now. So I'm going to come back and fill all that in later. Now my pencil lead is kind of starting to get a little small. I know it's hard to see. It won't focus. It's kind of starting to get a little small. So I'm just going to sharpen as needed. Just grab your sharpener and sharpen it as you need to. We're going to color this first section together, and then I will do a time lapse on the other parts and just kind of slow it down and talk through it as I need to. All right, so I'm still kind of just working all in the same direction. I just follow the curve of the grass. The grass curves up and to the left. That's what direction I make my mark in, up and to the left. And I'm just sort of always looking at it to see where I can go, even out the color, because like I can see this one right now. One is a little darker up here. Same for this one. It's darker here than it is down here, and both of these are darker than this one. So if I want to, I can go in and try to even it out. I always try to start a little bit lighter Because you can always go back and make it darker later, but you cannot go from dark to light. You can always go from light to dark, but you cannot go from dark to light. So even just like the sound of the color pencil on the paper is very consistent. It sounds like you're working in all the same directions. Just keep going all the way across the page until you get that whole section of grass filled in. You should not have a lot of big white spots showing through. You should not be scribbling. Because I'm working in this small section and I'm working basically in the same direction with my color pencil, I really don't even need to turn the paper at all. Because all of this just kind of goes straight up and down with a little bit of a curve. Now I'm just going to fill this in. You know, if it starts kind of scratching up against the paper, then you probably just need to sharpen your pencil. So if it just started to scratch the paper and the pencil lead isn't really coming out, you probably just need to sharpen it. So just stop, take a minute, sharpen your pencil. Now I left the bottom white because for me, it's really easier to just start to color in the bottom this way. And I can just fill it in. So I did change direction here. So because I'm making the color even, then it makes it easier to do. And then I have it all done. All right, so this time lapse is just going to continue to go through the coloring process, but there are breaks in the time lapse for me to give you some more tips and techniques when it comes to using color pencils. So this time lapse will go for a little while. It'll stop. I'll give you another technique with the color pencil, and then it'll start back up. I'm just continuing to color, and you should just be continuing to color on your end. This will work through this, just this first egg. Filling in the color, trying my best to keep the color even. Now you can make one section darker and one section lighter if you would like to, but in terms of teaching, I'm trying to make it all about the same tone, all about the same grade of lightness. Sometimes when it comes to smaller spaces, so like the spaces in between my stripes, or I should say the shapes in between my stripes, are a little bit smaller sections that need to be colored in. So just like you saw me do in the polka dot egg, sometimes it's easier to edge out the color. So sometimes it's easier to work along the edge first. Because remember, in the grass, I did that bottom edge last. Sometimes in smaller spaces, the easiest thing to do is color in your edges first, and then color in the middle, and that makes it a lot easier to not go out of the line. Because now I don't have to work all the way up to the marker line. Now I only have to work all the way up to my pencil, my color pencil line. So it helps me keep from running the color outside of the line. Okay, so in these smaller sections, coloring your edges first, right along the marker line, and then go ahead and fill in the middle, And that should help you keep from drawing and coloring outside of the lines. Just gonna keep going, keep coloring. Keep in mind that you can color yours however you want. You don't have to use the same colors that I chose. So whatever your favorite colors are, or whatever color you want your eggs to be. And I even told you with the design, like you don't have to put polka dots and stripes in your eggs if you don't want to. You can draw it however you want. And just color up until the point that the video restarts. Up until the point that the video restarts, and then you can finish coloring it later. Down here I have two little white sections left. And I really need to figure out what part of the drawing this should be. Is it a part of the grass? Is it a part of the egg? Is it a part of the sunshine? Okay. So since the grass is here, and I know I filled all that in, and the edge of the egg is here, so I know it's not a part of the egg, it should be a part of the sunshine. So I kind of have to see what color of the sunshine it lines up with. So this part here will end up being yellow. So I'm going to color in this small section here in yellow. And that just means that down here also, the egg overlaps the sunshine, the sun ray. Okay, so the egg sits in front of the sun ray. Now this part is a little bit harder to see, so I'm going to use my pencil, and I'm going to line up the edge of my pencil with my black marker line, and I am going to see if any of this should really be yellow. And this may be like a little tiny bit, so technically this line, if it ran all the way through here, it means that this section should be a part of the orange. I'm going to take my orange color and I'm going to fill in this part. So now it's like the sun rays come all the way down behind the egg. And then I have my finished image. Okay. So this one uses a little bit different colors than the first one. Okay, this one has some brighter colors in it. But there you are. That's your finished image. So you want to make sure all your marks are kind of moving in the same direction. They're all about the same evenness and tone, so it's not too dark or too light in any areas. And hopefully you've been able to keep it all in the lines. And just by edging up your colors first, so by coloring in at the edge in some of your sections and then filling in the middle part, you were able to keep your color in the lines. All right, so that's our first lesson in drawing in color pencil. So just to review, we talked about coloring in color pencil. We continue to talk about making nice, clean, even marker lines. And this time we talked about foreground, middle ground, and background in overlapping. So the things that are in the background, like the sun, are the farthest away from you, the farthest away from like your eyes and what you can see. The eggs are in the middle ground, so they're in the middle of the image. They're between the sun that's in the background and the grass that's in the foreground, in the front. So the eggs are in the middle ground. They're in the middle. Your grass is in the foreground. It's in the front. It's the closest to you, all right? So if you were laying your head in the grass would be closest to your eyes. The eggs would be right behind the blades of grass, and then you'd see the sun behind them. Background, middle ground, foreground. All right, so that's it for the videos today. So, of course, I am quite sure that all of you need to continue to color yours. I'm sure nobody finished in that little bit of time that we just used. So, what I am going to do now is just talk through a few kind of upcoming things, changes, things like that. Again, my apology for the sound issues in the first video. And I will do what's necessary to make sure people know that they need to look for the Thursday session. They need to just switch over to the Thursday session in order to be able to see what we talked about today. All right, so I'm going to do a couple more shared screens. One thing that we talked about last week was doing an online gallery. So I am going to share my screen again. I'm going to give you some information about that online gallery and how you will send your images to the gallery. All right, so here's the information here. This information, you can always just pull it up in the video. It's like you'll just scroll to the end of the video so you can see this. You can take a picture, you can take a screenshot. Most important thing you need is a web address, not the web address, the email address. So for the online gallery, you're going to send us a photo of your work. The best way to do that is take a photo of your artwork. You can take a picture with your phone or with one of your parents' or guardians' phones. You want to try to take a picture of the artwork only. So you don't want to like hold it in your hands and then like your fingers are in it or something like that. You want to take a picture of the artwork only. The easiest way to do that is to, I'm going to do it in the very small space that I have here. Let's see if I can make this smaller. All right, so imagine I'm going to use my book, my sketchbook. Imagine that, that's not working. Imagine that my book is the ground, okay? If my book is the ground, you're going to take your artwork. Where's my artwork? You're going to take your artwork and you're going to put it on the ground, okay? Just lay it flat on the ground. Then you're going to stand above it, or you can kind of kneel above it with your phone. All right, so imagine I'm standing above it with my phone. The only thing I want to make sure of before I take the picture is that there aren't any really big shadows. So you yourself, or you holding the phone, may give it like a bad shadow. If that happens, you may just need to turn your body around, kind of away from the light source or towards the light source. So just move yourself around until you have a good bit of light and just take your picture like that, okay? So you're taking your picture from above versus trying to sort of like hold it up and do it like this, because then your finger, your thumb will end up in the picture. All right, so the best way to do it is to lay it on the ground in a well-lit room, or it's even better if you just do it outside, because natural sunlight is the best. So lay it on the ground, stand over it, get kind of the screen in your phone, the camera screen, as close to the image as possible, so you don't have a whole lot of other stuff in there too. And then just take the picture that way. So that's the best way to do that. I'm going to make this bigger again. All right, then you just need to upload it to your computer, and you're going to email the picture to info@jamslife.org. So it's our basic information email address for JAMS, info@jamslife.org. And then once you do that in your email, because I do want to be able to say who did it, you know, whose image that we're showing. All I need is your first name. I will not publish online your full name. So I will not put your full like first and last name online. I will only put your first name and your grade. So just make sure in the email, you don't even have to type a whole email like, hey, Miss Erin, here is my artwork. You don't need to do all of that. All you need to do is upload the picture, put your name and grade in the text part, and send it on. Or put your name. You can even put your name and your grade in like the what's the thing? The subject line. Okay. So you can put your name and your grade in your head and your subject line and just send it on. You don't have to add a lot of text and stuff to it. And then I'll just download it from there, and then we'll upload it to the online gallery, and that will show up on the JAMS website as well. Okay. I would like for you to Just take the pictures as you get the work done. Technically, you need to be done with one project before we start the next project. So at this point, I am expecting all of you to have the work from last week done. So the googly eye project that we turned into a galaxy or the garden. Hopefully you guys have that done and you should be turning in photos from that project right now. This project that we're working on today, I'm just expecting you to send them by like Sunday. Okay, because of course we'll start a new project on Tuesday. This Thursday will be something a little bit more different and fun. We've been kind of working with our art materials and paper for a while. So we're going to do a project with an egg. We're just going to basically paint on the eggs. Typically, we do that with food coloring and stuff like that when you guys are dyeing Easter eggs. But I don't want to have you do anything that's going to mess up your hands too bad. So we're going to use our watercolors to actually paint on eggs. So I've let you know in other classes that for Thursday's class, you're going to need like 1 to 2 boiled eggs. We don't want to use up all of your parent or guardian's eggs in the house that people need to be eating. Although if you do boil these, after you paint on them and play with them, whatever, you can still eat the eggs. So for the next class, for Thursday's class, you do need to have 1 to 2 boiled eggs for that class. So we're going to do a painting project with the eggs. Now, because we used Thursday's link for today, we will still use the exact same link for the class, the exact same link that you did today, but I will add a third session. So I'll add another session. So the same way you switched up in that upper left corner where you see the little Crowdcast icon, when you come into class on Thursday, there'll just be another link for another little option for you for Thursday. So same link, you'll just switch under the schedule tab, you'll just switch to session. It'll then say 3 of 3. Like right now, the session says schedule. It says schedule session 2 of 2 painted eggs. On Thursday, it will say schedule session 3 of 3 painted eggs. Okay, so we'll make that adjustment since we had to use that class for today. Let's see, we have, I believe, already on the site. I'm going to close this and share my screen one more time with the worksheet. And I'll just keep this on a split screen. We have, I don't know, that little, I'll fix that little edit in there that needs to change, that little orange and weird looking line in the about the middle. But the worksheet for today will also be available on the JAMS site. So the worksheet, of course, the art supply list is always there. The link to the class will always be there. But we are going to make one little change in the videos. Right now, like when we sit in this webinar, I might show you 2 or 3 videos during the webinar. And I've been uploading those individual videos to YouTube. From now on, rather than uploading the individual videos to YouTube, we're going to upload the whole webinar. So that way you have one video that has all of the little teaching videos inside of it. So you don't have to kind of click from one video to the next when you go to YouTube. So I'm going to make those changes between today and tomorrow. So the video for this class will be available. I'm going to take this off. The video for this class will be available in Crowdcast right after this class ends. But the YouTube video, the one that shows up on our YouTube page and the one that shows up on our website, won't be available until tomorrow morning. All right, because we're going to switch those videos out and only put the webinar videos, because I think that this makes it easier for you guys to understand what order you should be watching the videos in, and it's not just so many videos that it gets confusing. So we're going to make that change to our website and to our YouTube site. Let's see, I think I have gone over everything I needed to go over. Do you guys have any more questions? We have about 6 minutes left in class. So any more questions before we close things out for today? Any questions at all? Thanks to everybody who successfully switched over to this new class today. I will work on my technical issues too and see if I can figure out what's going on with sound. And we should be using the new webcam by Thursday too, so it'll look a lot clearer and better. I'll look like a TV broadcaster. All right, so looks like there's no questions. So I'm going to go ahead and close this class out. I will see you guys on Thursday. We'll have a little fun. Same to you. Stay healthy. Stay inside. Do what your parents and guardians tell you to do. And we're just going to keep this thing going as long as we have to stay at home. So hopefully we'll be back at school soon and I can see you guys again. But until then, you guys have a great afternoon and a great night. All right.